Well, hello, all of my students. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Welcome to another episode of the Improved English Podcast, where I have the opportunity to help you to do just that, improve your English. If this is your first episode, you can go back and watch, I believe, the first 5. This is episode number 6. And I have a number of lessons in those episodes. And the primary way that I help people to improve their English is through reading of English stories. So last week I did, in addition to a story, I did a word of the week and phrases for the week. You have expressed that you like my lessons on idioms, phrases, and expressions. And so I included that in last week's episode. But because I have a lengthy episode today, or a lengthy story, I did not include phrases of the week. I did include a word of the week, which we will get to pretty soon. Now, as always, I have today's story available, but it will not be down in the description. For all of my podcast listeners, I do have English study tools that I provide for free, and there is a link down in the description, and I will send you today's lengthy story where you can read along with me or read at another time and practice your English next week until the next episode. So sign up for that. It's free. We have a few students that watch the lessons here on YouTube that have been receiving those. And I think I'm going to start saying here on the class. So make sure you go sign up for that. Very simple. You have an email address. Those will come straight to your email inbox once a week. At least I try to do it once a week. I told them at least once a month I'll give them a transcript or some other type of English study tools. Okay. At the end of today's lesson, like I do on my lessons on the channel, I will have a quiz for you today to test your comprehension. And for a third time, I want you to know that it is a lengthy story, but you should be able to follow it and learn as I read. Okay. Let me say I have some of the best subscribers, in my opinion. Thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. At this time, I believe I have just one channel supporter who is actually a channel member. So I am grateful for him. If you would like to become a channel member and receive some of the perks that I have, there is also a link down in the description. And I will be going over some comments. So if you enjoy talking to me throughout the week, in the comment section, I'll be going over some of those comments today throughout the podcast episode. Okay. So without further ado, let's get into some learning and let's have a good time. Okay. So let's start off with today's word of the week. Today's word of the week is debacle or debacle. I say debacle. Okay. So I want you to try to use this word in your conversations this week, or make sure you're listening to English conversations and see if you will hear this word. Now, because it's political season here in the United States, a lot of national politics and local politics is on the increase. You'll probably hear this word debacle. Okay. And so it means a complete failure. Debacle. It can also refer to a great disaster, though typically not one that causes significant suffering or loss. Okay, so a debacle has to do with something that is just a complete failure. So for instance, you might say the company's new product launch was a complete debacle, leading to significant financial losses. So whatever the company made, it didn't make a lot of sales. So it was just a complete debacle, an utter failure. Or you might say, after the debacle at the school play, the students worked hard to improve their performance. So the play was a debacle. You hate to say it concerning kids, but sometimes it happens. In your country, outside of the United States, in your schools, do they have school plays? I'm curious to know. Let me know down in the comments section. That is something that is popular here in American culture in elementary school, usually from kindergarten to maybe 7th grade. Schools are known for hosting a play of some sort involving the students. And so parents usually show up to the play and watch the children act or recite lines. And sometimes they're good and sometimes it's boring. And sometimes, as we learned, it can be a debacle. Okay. Now, many of you don't know. Matter of fact, none of you know because I've never shared it. But I used to be an actor back in my younger days. Yes, that's right. I was no Denzel Washington, but I did performances in high school and in college. I even tried my hand when I was a teenager at being an actor. My mother made sure that I got out some of my comedic energy, as you can see from my lessons, that I enjoy laughing and making people laugh. And so I tried my hand at acting when I was a teenager, and it was a debacle. It was unsuccessful. That was not my career path. Okay. But I enjoyed it. I think the last great performance I did was in college, and that was a pretty big performance. We did it, I believe, 2 or 3 times. And I enjoy stage plays at that particular time of my life. But let me know. I am curious because we have so many different people from around the world that are on the channel now trying to improve their English. Are plays something that they do with children in your country? Let me know. Okay, so let's dive into today's story on the podcast. Now, one thing I like to do, as you know, is read stories and explain them. And here on the podcast, I can kind of take my time a little bit more, where throughout the week, I try to keep my lessons under a certain timetable. So let's get into it and have some fun on today, okay? The San Francisco Zoo was abuzz with mixed emotions as they prepared to send Rachel, their beloved panda bear, back to China. Okay, so the San Francisco Zoo, that is one of the world's most popular zoos. And at one particular time, and it still may be, it was America's most visited and most popular zoo. And I've been there twice. Okay, once when I was a teenager with my family, and a second time I took my wife. Okay, when I got married. And so the San Francisco Zoo is very nice. Notice here in the story, it says the zoo was a buzz. Okay, so when something is a buzz, it's energetic. You know how sometimes we say you can feel the energy in the building. People are excited. Okay. That's why we say in this country, we say, look, you need to get some buzz out about your company. So you need to get people excited. You need to get people talking. A buzz. The zoo was abuzz. Rachel had been a star attraction, delighting visitors with her playful antics and gentle demeanor. Okay. Notice Rachel, the panda bear, had playful antics. So when you talk about antics, it has to do with amusing behavior. Okay. Acting silly. So you might say, look, it's time to go to bed. Stop with all of the antics. Okay. Stop with all of the foolishness. Another word that's synonymous with antics is pranks. Okay. Why are you playing so many antics or pranks? Gentle demeanor. Demeanor has to do with a person's behavior, how they carry themselves. Okay. A person's, how can I say, their outward behavior, how they talk, how they walk, how they look. That's a person's demeanor. Okay. So you might say, I was in the city and I crossed the street when I saw the young people coming because of their demeanor. Oh, yeah. You judge someone based upon how they look. Okay. We've all been there. And sometimes it's necessary to do that. Okay. So a person's behavior, how they carry themselves. However, her stay was always meant to be temporary, a part of an international conservation program. Okay. Temporary. So when something is temporary, it's just for a moment. Okay. The bee stung me and I had temporary pain. Okay. My tooth was aching, but it was only temporary until I went to the dentist. So for a short time. Now, notice the panda bear was a part of an international conservation program. So international, having to do with dealing with more countries than just one. Okay. International. So North America, Europe, China, Australia. That's international. Okay. The zookeepers who had grown attached to Rachel knew it was time for her to return to her natural habitat, and contribute to the panda population in China. Natural habitat. So where someone is from, their natural habitat. Okay. So if you live in the city, you would be uncomfortable probably living in the country because the city life is your natural habitat. Okay. It's where you feel most comfortable. It's where you're most productive. Okay. So this is so whether you are talking about an animal or a person, your natural habitat. Okay. To contribute. Notice this vocabulary word, contribute. Okay, so when you contribute something, you share. Okay, you give. So you contribute something, you play a part in. Okay, so I am contributing to your English improvement. Okay, I'm helping you. Okay, I'm doing something that plays a part in your life. Okay, let's go on. On the day of her departure, the zoo was filled with a bittersweet atmosphere. Let's read that again. On the day of her departure, the zoo was filled with a bittersweet atmosphere. Okay, bittersweet. So that's a compound word, something that is bittersweet. I guess you would describe it as being good and bad. Okay, so when something is bittersweet, it's good and bad. Okay, it's something that is, you know, is needed, but you're going to miss it. So they're going to miss Rachel, which is good, a good thing, or a bad thing. They're going to miss her. But for her to go home into her natural habitat is a good thing. So it's bad that I'm going to miss her, but it's good that she's going to be well where she's going. Okay, so you would use bittersweet in a conversation by saying, you know, I'm going to miss selling that car. My car, I had to sell it. And so it was just bittersweet to see it go. And so you may say you had to sell your vehicle and it was bittersweet because you enjoyed riding in it, but you didn't like paying the high car note. It was bittersweet. As the caretakers, compound word, 2 words in one, as the caretakers loaded Rachel into her specially designed crate, they couldn't help but feel a sense of loss. So a caretaker is someone that takes care of something or someone else. So my grandmother, who was in her late 80s, she lived in another state by herself, and she was a widow. My grandfather had died some years later or earlier. And so what happened one day, my grandmother slipped and fell, and she was on the floor for about 8 hours. And so at that moment, the family decided that she needed a caretaker. She needed someone to look after her, to help her. That's what a caretaker is. And that's what they do. They look after or take care of someone. So notice here that they put Rachel in a crate. Okay. A specially designed crate. A crate, a box. Okay. Something that you use to store things in. Now, you normally wouldn't put a person in a crate, but you could put an animal or clothing or food in a crate. So when you go on an airplane, you don't take a crate. You would take a suitcase or a bag. Or if you were traveling with a panda, you would take a crate. Okay. But they also knew that sending Rachel home was the right thing to do, as it would give her a chance to thrive in her native environment. So when you thrive, you succeed. Okay. You do well. So you might say, ever since I moved, I've been thriving. Or you might say, since I have a new friend, my relationship has been thriving. Okay. Or you might say, my ex is not doing well, but I remarried. And ever since then, I've been thriving. Okay. So you're doing well. You are succeeding. Visitors gathered to bid farewell. Compound word, farewell. So farewell means goodbye. See you later. Snapping photos and sharing memories of their favorite panda. Rachel's journey was a testament to the zoo's dedication to wildlife conservation. So when a person is dedicated, they are loyal. Okay. It's someone that you can depend on or count on. So I hope, you might say, you are dedicated to learning English. Or I've seen your dedication because you study hard. Okay. So when you're dedicated, you stick to something. You are loyal. Okay. Her time in San Francisco had not only raised awareness about endangered species, but also highlighted the importance of global cooperation. So cooperation is when people work together, okay, in harmony, okay, they work together well. So you might say, I need you to cooperate with me, okay, I need you to work well with me, okay. As the plane took off, the zookeepers waved goodbye, knowing Rachel was in safe hands. Upon arrival in China, Rachel was greeted by a team of experts who would oversee her transition. They would look, observe, okay? To greet someone means to welcome someone, okay? They knew her well, having followed her progress from afar. Rachel's return symbolized a full circle, a hopeful step towards the preservation of her species. Now notice here it talks about how they knew her well, having followed her progress from afar. Following someone from afar, okay? So usually when I was young, you could follow someone's progress from afar by watching television or reading a newspaper or possibly talking on the phone. Now you can track someone's progress from afar with the internet. Okay. It's just like with one of my students that I do one-on-one tutoring with. I can tell his progress is increasing. And though he's not here with me, the technology gives me the opportunity to see his progress from afar. He's in New York. I am in Georgia, but I can see his progress because of the technology. All right. One more sentence or two. The San Francisco Zoo would always remember Rachel, not just as an exhibit, but as a crucial part of their mission to protect wildlife. So this story is something that's amazing to me because animals are a big part of our country. Whether it be a zoo or whether it be people that have their own personal pets. And speaking of personal pets, I've had a goldfish, I've had a dog, and now I take care of the neighborhood cats. And so I can remember there was a gorilla here at the Atlanta Zoo for years by the name of Willie B. And Willie B was very, very popular. And at times they had to transport Willie B across the country for different reasons. And then when he died, it was really, really big news. Everybody knew about Willie B. And so this story today was based off an article that I read about a panda somewhere in the United States that was actually being sent to another country. So I just wanted to do something a little different. And the vocabulary words in this story were somewhat intermediate. I'm not going to say advanced. They were intermediate. So before we get to the quiz questions and we look at some comments, let's read through today's story at a fast pace. And let's see if you can comprehend and keep up with my pace of reading. Okay. The San Francisco Zoo was abuzz with mixed emotions as they prepared to send Rachel, their beloved panda, their panda bear, back to China. Rachel had been a star attraction, delighting visitors with her playful antics and gentle demeanor. However, her stay was always meant to be temporary, a part of an international conservation program. The zookeepers who had grown attached to Rachel knew it was time for her to return to her natural habitat and contribute to the panda population in China. On the day of her departure, the zoo was filled with a bittersweet atmosphere. As the caretakers loaded Rachel into her specially designed crate, they couldn't help but feel a sense of loss. But they also knew that sending Rachel home was the right thing to do, as it would give her a chance to thrive in her native environment. Visitors gathered to bid farewell, snapping photos and sharing memories of their favorite panda. Rachel's journey was a testament to the zoo's dedication to wildlife conservation. Her time in San Francisco had not only raised awareness about endangered species, but also highlighted the importance of global cooperation. As the plane took off, the zookeepers waved goodbye, knowing Rachel was in a safe hands. Well, let's repeat that. As the plane took off, the zookeepers waved goodbye, knowing Rachel was in safe hands. Upon arrival in China, Rachel was greeted by a team of experts who would oversee her transition. They knew her well, having followed her progress from afar. Rachel's return symbolized a full circle, a hopeful step towards the preservation of her species. The San Francisco Zoo would always remember Rachel, not just as an exhibit, but as a crucial part of their mission to protect wildlife. All right, man, that's what's up. Awesome. Okay, so let's go over some quiz questions and see how your memory was on that lengthy story. What does demeanor mean? Question number 1. Let me know down in the comments section. What does demeanor mean? Number 2. What does bittersweet mean? Number 3. What is a caretaker? And number 4. What famous zoo have you been to? What famous zoo have you been to? So I've been to, as I said, the San Francisco Zoo, the LA Zoo, the Atlanta Zoo. We have aquariums here. So we have so much wildlife that is available to the citizens of this country. So let me know down in the comments section. And speaking of comments, it's that time. Let's go through some comments that we have here on the channel. And let's read some of those and give some shout outs and bless outs to some of my awesome subscribers that I have here on the channel. Miss Lucetta, very popular here on the channel. Hello, Teacher Jay. As always, today's lesson is very interesting and the view is beautiful. Have a good weekend. God bless you and your family. Let's respond to her because I haven't responded. Thank you. I always put thank you. Something a little different than what I normally do. And I hope I didn't lose audio too long because I am not going back to redo this story. So this episode. So I hope that wasn't too long. I just realized the mute button was on. But nevertheless, I hope you guys join me on my next English lesson. I'll see you then.